One cartoon I really love and no one can stop me from loving is Steven Universe. Steven Universe Future can really eat all the dicks in the world, but Steven Universe was my shit. And I have to say, my favorite piece of media in regards to the Steven Universe franchise has to be the Steven Universe movie. Everything about this movie is great. The plot, music, the antagonist, just really everything. But let's get to the crash out. Steven is enjoying his happily ever after until Spinell pulls up with a fucking drill and immediately starts hating. Like just immediately. She is pissed to see Steven just being happy and enjoying life, especially with Pearl's dumbass. Steven is confused and Spinell does not care to explain. She has an on-site policy in regards to Steven, and when you figure out why, you'll realize how valid it is. Pearl's ass is the only one who knows who she is and her lore, and instead of explaining, she's too busy being confused. Like, shorty, lock in. Spinell clutches a easy 3v1 against the crystal gems, and then poofs them with some sort of scythe, factory resetting them and whatnot. I just don't understand why the Gem Empire used scythe to factory reset their gems. All the tech they have, and there's no button on the back of the gem to that you can press and hold while you, I don't know, maybe hold the volume button or something. I don't know. But Steven saw the entire, all the crystal gems get put in a blunt at the same exact time. So he decides to finally step up and get factory reset alongside everyone else. But he doesn't poof, so because he's human. So, there's that. Here's when I realized Spinell is a D1 crasher. Steven wrestles the sights from her and then factory resets her with it. And the whole entire time she's smiling, bro. Bro sent her to where the crystal gems are, and she didn't even care. They could have shattered her, and she wouldn't have cared because she got her get back, whether Steven knows it or not. The entire movie is trying to get all their memories back, since dumbass Pearl wouldn't tell anyone who Spinell is. They have no clue on how to get her memory back, so they have to get Pearl's memories first. And when they do that, Steven wastes no time asking who the hell Spinell is, because God knows she wouldn't have said anything otherwise. One thing I'll point out that I love about this movie is how cold blooded Spinell is at the beginning of the movie, but then when she gets factory reset, she's like the most innocent, fun loving individual. It just shows how that one moment really messed up her entire character. Now let's get into Spinell's backstory as to what made her this mad. Spinell was Pink Diamond's playmate, someone to keep her company when she's feeling lonely. They were having, a good time until Pink decided she wanted her own little colony. Yellow Diamond eventually said, Here, oh begging ass. Just to get her out the way, she got tired of hearing Pink's voice. Pink Diamond, like your typical nigga, when she, when they, how niggas be when they get money, start acting different. She's too clouded up to, be hanging out with Spinell now. Pink, for whatever reason, didn't want to take Spinell with her. She could have did a few things, but she chose like the most coward option, something Pink Diamond always does, but we'll get to that later. She pretends to play hide and seek with Spinell. Some shit you might do with your little sibling to get them to leave you alone or something. Issue the issue is though, Pink just left her there for like 6,000 years. Spinell stood there in that same spot for 6,000 years thinking she was playing a game of hide and go seek and never questioned it because she had so much trust in her friend. She questioned herself before she ever questioned Pink Diamond. The song she sings while explaining the story is probably like one of the most heartbreaking things ever. Like the emotions of standing still while your friends, family, and just everyone moves on without you. It's something everyone has probably felt, but not to this level. It's even more crazy when you think about all the crazy stuff Pink Diamond went on to do in those 6,000 years while Spinell just stood there. Spinell only figures out she was played when a broadcast of Steven hits whatever moon base or wherever she's at. Now, be for real. If you're Spinell and you see that, what's your next move? A squabble is mandatory. Like, am I tripping? Like that shit's required at this point. You've been sitting there for 6,000 years just to. You've been sitting there so long. Your friend's literally a whole different person. Like she's been like two different people at this point. Steven as he don't even bother defending his mom anymore. It's like it's to the point, it gets to a point. Like he knows she's dead wrong. Steven as trying to talk to Spinell like, hey, we don't really we don't really fuck with her like that either. To be honest, she done hold us too many times. We're in the same boat like you. Spinell does not even really have beef with Steven like that at this point. Like she still has deep trust issues, so you know, unfortunately, they kind of squash the beef, but then they unsquash the beef. You know how that, it doesn't just take one conversation to deal with such deep trauma. So, they start squabbling again with the crystal gems, and she's getting work. Spinell is confused because in her mind, she's like, this was easy work last time. The fuck changed? Spinell was not trying to ruin her 1-0 score. So she said, fuck that fade, and I'm just destroying the earth. Frieza would be proud of her. Steven is like the only one without his powers, but he tells the crystal gems to save everyone while he talks to Spinell. Garnet's like, hmm. Well, he is pretty cold with that talk no jutsu. He's all right. Let's be for real. Like Naruto would have been had this situation solved, but whatever. Steven makes it. He makes it up to Spinell, and she pretty much tells him to shut the fuck up. And he pretty much tells him to shut your bitch ass up. Like that's pretty much what happens. With all that, she wasn't feeling all that seeing no jutsu shit. But after Spinell lets out her anger and aggression, she calms down and becomes chill again. It's it's not too bad for Spinell. She does get a happy ending at the end of the movie. She gets to go off with the diamonds. She has her own little family. The whole pink diamond left within all of them, they can now fill in, with each other. So whatever. If anyone in the show deserved redemption in a second chance, it's her. I'm sorry. Like she was old. Some people don't like the trope of a villain, becoming a good guy or whatever, but I don't mind it, especially when the villains aren't really villains, but they're just antagonists. So, in my opinion, there's only one character in this show that truly doesn't deserve redemption of any form. And no, it's not the diamonds. It's not no. I don't care. I don't care how many people Blue Diamond might have shattered. Like, suck my dick. Thankfully, though, that one person who doesn't deserve the redemption doesn't get it. I defended Pink Diamond's bitch ass up until I saw this movie. It's funny to me how the writers decided to fuck any ambiguity about whether Pink Diamond slash Rose is a good guy or maybe a flawed good guy or whatever. At this point, the jury is officially out. She is a whole villain. Let's just go over the story of Pink Diamond, just so everyone understands how vile this individual is. All the whole shit she done did. Pink cries to Yellow about having her own colony. After successfully whining for probably about a few decades or centuries, Yellow relents knowing her dumbass not built for that shit, but she still lets her do it. After getting what she wants, she switches up on her day one Spinel. You know, get used to this cycle of Pink Diamond selfishly mistreating her friends and using them. It's not going to get old anytime soon. Pink gets her colony, but then develops a obsession with humans. The show at first makes us think that Pink has some sort of conscious and selfish selflessly fought for Earth. But don't get fooled like me. Her motives are purely selfish. Pink could have talked to Yellow, Blue, or White and changed how they did things. Maybe even saved other planets from having their uh resources drained so they can build more gems or whatever. And how do I know that? Cause Steven did it. I know the ending of Steven Universe was rushed, but Steven got Blue Yellow on his side in like 2 episodes. And he did that off the strength of their love for Pink Diamond. Instead, she waged a war, a fake ass war, and she did it in like the least gangster way possible. She pretended to be someone else while doing it. She couldn't even personally stand on her bullshit, bro. This is the most pussy shit I've ever seen in a cartoon. Like, okay. Then she fakes her shattering because she was too pussy to confront her diamond sisters who ultimately loved her. Blue Diamond spent like maybe I don't know over a millennium depressed. I actually don't really know how long, but it was a long time. Did Pink Diamond care? Hell no. She was too happy to live her life as Rose. Fuck Spinel, who's still waiting for her, and fuck the Diamonds, who are in shambles over what happened to her. Even Steven knew her ass was wrong by the end of the show. Steven started off sympathetic towards Pink at first, like, damn, they even threw Pink in a room as punishment, made her cry and shit, punched her for her expressions. But by the end of this show, Steven realizes something. It took my ass like one real conversation to get them to understand me. Pink ain't tried worse shit, and she just abandoned her family. Like it was nothing. Something Steven just couldn't do. But the Diamonds would be the last. They wouldn't be the last family she abandoned to live out her selfish desires. After getting all her gems into a war they didn't ask for because she had an obsession with humans, she says, "Hey, I killed off Pink Diamond," which made the diamonds understandably mad, causing them to corrupt all the gems on the planet, all because Pink selfishly wanted to live as a different gem. By the way, let me speak on some other shit because what did Pink think was really going to happen? What she think they were going to do? And then she manipulated Pearl, who was in love with her, and under the assumption that she could finally be with Rose under these circumstances. So let's add emotional manipulation to her resume. And Pearl was the one who felt guilty about what happened afterwards, because Lord knows Pink didn't, because she got to finally live a new life as Rose Quartz. The craziest thing is that this was all unnecessary. Pink even says herself, Blue and Yellow don't really care about what's happening with Earth because it's Pink's colony. She probably could have did whatever she wanted. The Diamonds have been shown to not give a fuck about Earth. Yes, Earth has a lot of resources, but none of them are really useful to the Gem Empire. And some might say that's not fair because Pink did try to talk to Blue and Yellow about it. Fuck you, no, she didn't. She started a rebellion herself and then used it as an excuse as to why she couldn't finish the colonization instead of saying how she really felt because she was a coward. She asked for this planet, and then now she's too much of a coward to say she couldn't go through with it because of her whatever selfish reasons. But at least it would have been honest and more respectable than what she ended up doing. After that, after all that she put her friends through, and let's not get into like literally every other gym who wasn't Garnet and Pearl, you know, they're like they're corrupted. She just went on happily living her life and then one day said, "Hey, I want to try being a human vicariously through my son. I know. I know like I created a lot of problems for you guys, but you're going to have to handle them on your own. And so will my son. Y'all be good though." Most selfish character I've ever seen. As soon as gets bored, she throws her friends and loved ones to the side, and never once does she think about how they feel. You even rewatch the whole business storyline and look at her. I can't help but look at her sideways, even though Pink was morally in the right. Bismuth wanted to start shattering their homeworld enemies instead, including the diamonds. Pink wasn't with that, whether it was because she, you know, just didn't like the ideal of shattering gems or her not wanting her diamond sisters to be shattered. Probably a combination of both. And both are understandable, and Bithmus does act Rose. Why does she care so much about her enemies? So it probably does allude to the fact she didn't want her diamond sisters to end up getting shattered. Even though Pink was in the right, what she did was wrong. She bubbled Bismuth and then left her bubbled and out of the way for who knows how long without ever telling their friends what happened to her. And she took that to her grave. Like, I think that's the most disgusting part about it. She took a lot of this stuff to her grave. She didn't tell anyone about Spinel. She didn't tell anyone about Bismuth. Like, if you're going to sit there and die and become someone else or whatever, why won't you at least tell them like, hey, uh, Bismuth is bubble. This is what happened. Maybe tell them about Spinel just in case. Maybe one day they could do something about it. Like, bro, she just kind of said fuck them. She didn't even tell them the truth about her when she ended up deciding to do what she did. It's crazy. Pink is a disgusting person. Was Bismuth wrong? Yes, but at least stop being a coward for 5 seconds and tell your friends what happened. Do the right thing for once. It's crazy to think at some point I like this character, had the shirt and everything, but it turns out I liked Pink when I knew less about her. Literally every problem in the story was caused by Pink Diamond. It's funny to think Steven's mom, this person who was introduced as this loving, positive person who saw the beauty in everything, would be the one character by the end of the show unredeemed. She went from the good guy to the good guy who might have did something morally wrong for a good cause to a flawed character to just a straight up villain who caused every single problem within the show.